The issue of human rights is not opposition politics. It is based really more on what our Constitution says. We have a brand new Constitution, which in my view has been wasted in the past 6 years. The people of Zimbabwe buried in March 2013 the old Lancaster Constitution, which had been mutilated at least 19 times, if my memory serves me right. And the reason for that mutilation was that it was said to be really an imposition from elsewhere. So when the people overwhelmingly voted for the current constitution, it was the hope of all human rights defenders that constitutionalism will now be lived. It will be our daily bread, and as the bishop said, it will be practiced by all of us. So government's responsibility, insofar as I'm concerned on human rights, is not just to say that this is what the Constitution says. It has to be seen that we are living constitutionalism, that every law that is not consistent with the Constitution is invalid, because that's what the preamble says in the Constitution, that every law that is inconsistent with provisions of this Constitution is invalid to the extent of that inconsistency. But we've seen that, in practice, even the Second Republic is not living by that. We have seen how the exercise of rights, for instance, of freedom of movement, of toy-toying, if you like, has been severely curtailed. If citizens want to enjoy their right to protest, we know that every road into town will be, cordoned off by police, by army personnel. We know that those who do so are not doing it on their own. They are doing it because the state is allowing it. In my view, when citizens want to protest, the responsibility of law enforcement is to accompany them and ensure that they are able to protest as and when they please. We have seen currently, we have the doctors' work stoppage, which is extremely unfortunate because it affects lives. But the point is that everyone is entitled to withdraw their labor rights. And what is government's response to that? Government is not sitting down to listen to the grievances. Instead, it is behaving exactly as the First Republic did by, suspending, firing, and basically disrespecting the Constitution by not ensuring that they are given the opportunity to really exercise the rights that the Constitution says they have. The Constitution is a provision for labor rights, and they are entitled to do that. We have seen that although the Constitution talks of non-partisanship by institutions, we've seen institutions. For instance, we have a chief who has refused to comply with a court order, which requires him to show that he's not partisan, and nothing has been done about that. We've seen court orders not being respected in the Second Republic. All of you have, heard of state security agents stopping a person at the airport and taking his passport when he had that passport in terms of a court order. Surely, if the state wanted to revoke that giving of the passport, which was done by consent, due process ought to have been followed. We have oversight institutions. Mr. Mgwadi is here representing the Human Rights Commission. It's doing a wonderful job, but like the minister said, it is chronically underfunded. And when it does make reports, the government does not take those reports seriously. And in fact, their last report was being contested. My view is that when oversight institutions under Chapter 12 of the Constitution make recommendations, it is the responsibility of the government to look into those reports and take corrective action as recommended. We had the Motlanthe Commission, for instance. It made recommendations. We know that those recommendations have not been carried through. And what does that mean? It means those who were fingered in that report can continue doing the same because there's absolute and total impunity. Next to me is Justina. Justina was abducted, and everybody knows what happened to her. And the police at the time said, we are looking for her because she's been criminally abducted. But she actually then was found in the possession of the same police. It is known who abducted her. Those abductors we know are still amongst us. With this type of impunity, will abduction stop? Minister, we have to see that there is no impunity. Where there are abductions, where there are violations of constitutional provisions, the public expects the government to be transparent with any investigations that they are doing, to take into account the fact that those who have violated the constitutional provisions must be seen to be punished. The law must take its course, and take its course in such a way that there will be the feeling amongst the populace that there will no longer be impunity to violations of human rights. And I'm eating into someone else's time. But basically, the government must walk the talk, like the bishop said. It is all and well to say, yes, we have this responsibility. It is all and well to say that there are restrictions. But let us not see the government openly defying the Constitution by stopping citizens from enjoying rights that they have under the Constitution. Thank you. When the minister made his opening remarks, he referred to the social contract between the state and the citizens. And I was really looking forward to hearing how government is going to discharge its part of that contract, which basically is what's in the Constitution. How is the state going to guarantee its people's safety and promote human rights and let them enjoy what's in the Constitution? And I was looking forward to hearing how the realignment process was going to be fast-tracked in the same way that MOPA has been fast-tracked. Why can we not fast-track those aspects of the Constitution that need realignment so that people can enjoy rights that are very clear and spelled out? I was hoping to hear the minister say that, the government will ensure that the rampant corruption that we all know is going on, the Mackey deals that are coming out of Command Agriculture, the failure to comply with Section 300 of the Constitution, where government is borrowing as if, there's no tomorrow. I wanted to hear the minister say we will now comply with the 60-day requirement, which obliges us in terms of the Constitution to publicize our loans, the loans we've asked for. I was looking forward to hearing the minister say there'll no longer be selective application of the law, and there can be no question that the current economic situation in the country is traceable to this rampant corruption, which has gone unchecked for a long time, to the mismanagement of the economy, to the failure to adhere with the rule of law. So there's no investor, Comrade Mtswanga, who's going to come to Zimbabwe with bags of money as long as all of these ills are not dealt with realistically. This gathering was not really supposed to be for politicking. It was supposed to deal with the real issues of how we can be protected, both in terms of civil rights, political rights, economic rights, from the current abuse that we are getting, which cannot honestly be traced to outsiders. Because when we hear the Public Accounts Committee in Parliament ask questions, and government officials openly say we did not comply with the law and no head rolls, that is a complete failure to protect the economic rights of citizens. That's a failure to ensure that we have medicines in hospitals. That's a failure to ensure that schools are operating. That's a failure to ensure that we enjoy all the guarantees that are there in the social contracts that we call the Constitution. So if we do have this kind of gathering, can we deal with the issues of how these things can be done and let the politicians go to Pollard or elsewhere to politic?